This video is the first of a three-part series, and by the end of this part, you should be able to know the different aspects that make up a good macro image. And if you follow this series till the end, you are going to be able to create good macro images every single time. And that is not a prediction, but a spoiler. My name is David Joseph at ABCD David, pro macro wildlife photographer based in Nigeria, and I've shot macro wildlife with a phone, with an actual camera, under the rain, under the sun, by day and at night, and I've done it for over 5 years. So I know what it means to create a good image, because you have to know that in order for you to know what actually makes a good macro image. And I see it's something some people struggle with, not because they can't create a good macro image, but because they actually don't know what makes up a good macro image. And sometimes this makes them chase or go after or even include the things that shouldn't be included in their own macro image, which ends up not always giving them good macro image. So in this video, I'm going to list out all the essentials, everything from A, B, C, D to Z. That's literally my name. That makes a good macro image for you, and it's going to be very quick, no wasting of time, straight to the point. So let's go. The first and most important thing that makes a good macro image is a subject. A subject is like the base of every macro photo. So your photo, it needs a subject, and how much weight or influence the subject carries depends on several factors, which I'm going to highlight now. The first factor is rarity of subject. That is, how rare is the subject. Rare subjects always make good images. I mean, when you take the image right, actually, not when you do it wrong. If you have a rare subject in frame, there's a high chance that you've already gotten what can be called a good image, or something close to that. Well, it's not the only factor, but a rare subject in frame, it clicks. It has a way of just making people forget or overlook the other aspects of the photo. So having a rare subject in frame is always a plus, but you don't need a rare subject every time, because there are other factors that influence how much weight your subject carries. And I move on to the next one, which is aesthetics of subject. Aesthetics of subject. Now, when I say aesthetics of subject, which of course this is the third time I'm saying it, you are probably thinking about how beautiful the subject is. And of course, you're right. A very beautiful subject carries a whole lot of points, and it's not like we are doing any scoring here, but yeah, let's be honest. If the subject is very beautiful, people will be, you know, they'll love the photo, or at least like it more than when the subject is actually not beautiful. But there's kind of like a psychological thing to this. It doesn't always have to be the most beautiful subject. Do you know that if the subject is just as ugly, like strikingly ugly, it's going to carry the same effect as a beautiful subject would? Now, people are not stopping because the subject is beautiful, they are stopping because the subject is ugly, and it's just so ugly, and they want to comment about how ugly it is, or how it is the ugliest of that species they've seen. Yes, it's the same effect. It carries the same influence, the same weight. So, aesthetics of subject, that is another factor that influences how much weight your subject carries in a photo. And we move on to the next factor, interest of subject. How interesting is this subject? Certain subjects are very interesting to certain people, or maybe to everyone. Subjects like jumping spiders, people find it very interesting. I do find frogs to be very interesting, and if you photograph frogs, believe me, I'm already rating the photo so high. So yeah, how interesting is the subject you are photographing? Is it colorful? How is it? What does it display? What about it is unique? That is the next factor. Another factor is the behavior of subject. And this is one of my favorites when I'm, photographing, or should I say when I'm including subjects in the frame. For instance, if I see a spider, two spiders, one of them just being a spider and the other spider having a sack, babies, or prey. Yeah, you can already tell. I'm definitely photographing the one with the sack, babies, or prey. Why? Because of the behavior of the subject. I love that behavior, and that behavior adds weight to the subject, and as a whole, it adds weight to the photo. So, whenever I see a subject that is exhibiting a behavior, be it a behavior of motherhood or it's hunting for prey and just trying to survive, I prefer that subject to another subject that is just there and sitting still and looking pretty. There's nothing wrong with that, right? But it's just that the subject that is exhibiting a behavior becomes more interesting to me because I know as a subject it carries more weight on the photo than just a normal subject that is just sitting there and being pretty, which people have probably seen 1,000 times already. And even if people have already seen this behavior I'm about to photograph, I can tell you it's not the exact manner. It's not completely the same. Behavior over just still calm pretty subject. The next one is the story of the subject. Now, if you ever spot a spider and the spider has lost not one, not two, not three, but four legs, what do you think of that spider? A brave spider, a spider that is adventurous, a spider that has survived storms, a spider that has been through ups and downs. The spider has not told you anything, but you've just formulated stories in your head of the spider. If you are a viewer looking at the photo, how do you feel? That subject has a story, and it's more interesting than if it had just, all complete 8 legs. I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with photographing spiders with 8 legs, but sometimes we get tired of it. And yeah, you're not going to let the fact that people have seen this 1,000 times influence the things you capture. At least not always, but if you see a spider that has lost 4 legs, story of the subject. What story does the subject tell you? What is its verb? Because right now you're looking at the subject and you're wondering, what has this subject been through to get to this point? And that's the story of the subject. That's what makes it interesting. That is what gives you something to write about. Because let's be honest, photos make sense. Photos can tell their own stories, but if you ever have to host an exhibition, or maybe if you ever have to post it and you just want to add a little write up, having something worthy to write about is an extra, it's a plus. So, what is the story of the subject? All these factors that make a subject have more influence on a photo do not have to all line up all at once for the subject in a particular image. Just one or two of it is enough. And on the rare occasion where you have maybe 3 or 4 of it line up, man, you have a banger image. And that's it for subject. And I would say subject is 25% of a good macro image. So never play with your choice of subject.